On this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast, it's Lamia Okami-a.
And balls, balls, balls. Let's do this. Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
I'm Liz. Oh, and I just realized that my nose was a little stuffy when I said I'm. Okay. So I'm sorry, this week we're talking about what?
Season 6, Episode 4, Weekend at Bobby's.
Oh, Weekend at Bobby's. How long has it been since you saw Weekend at Bernie's?
I've never seen it all the way through.
Of course you haven't. Man, you are the worst. Did you finish Roadhouse?
No, because it was running in its entirety and there was commercials too, so it was like over 3 hours because it was running on IFC. But I watched the first hour or so and I want to watch the rest, to be fair.
All right, so what we will do, because the best way to watch Roadhouse, there is a Blu-ray or DVD version with commentary by Kevin Smith and Jason, what's his name? Doing commentary on Roadhouse. Wow. They had nothing to do with the movie whatsoever. But it's just them doing the commentary for shits and giggles.
That's hilarious.
It is. So that is, okay, you've seen an hour, you've got a gist. So we'll do it again. I am one of the few people in the world who actually still owns, or actually I just bought a new one, a device to watch the spinning discs on. So, and then I will have excuse to buy Roadhouse. So, what did you do this weekend, Diana? Oh yeah, you didn't watch all of Roadhouse again.
Did not watch all of Roadhouse again. No, we had a nice time celebrating my brother-in-law's birthday with the family. Had a nice little cruise out with the car club in Deep Ellum on Saturday. And then I had a not fancy at all. Super chill, but big work group gathering we call it our post-holiday dinner because it's so hard to get people together over the holidays. So we wait till afterwards and have a big group dinner. So did that. That's been mine. Work's a little crazy, but it's all good stuff as we, ramp up for a super exciting spring. And
spring
live music is a thing, man. It's wild. And then more importantly though, Liz, you and I are counting down to something else.
Yeah, we already talked about vacation on here all the time. Everybody knows.
I know. I
always say the same thing every week.
All right, so what have you been up to?
Okay, well, so Austin had another natural disaster. Like, I'm just kind of used to them at this point. I'm like, okay, this time we're gonna have another winter storm. What's gonna happen? So this time I didn't lose power. The grid held. A lot of people did lose power though because the ice was just ridiculous. And I did lose internet for 2 days, which means I was like working off of my phone, which sucked. And like, I wish like I could have lost like power and internet, because then like you don't have to work, right? And then you're cold. I mean, granted, it got very, very cold and people died. I'm sorry. But, at least then though I could have read books. Like there was some point.
Instead of half-assed trying to work from a
it's really hard like working without internet. And like I do have things that I can do without it though, and it sucks. But so then the backyard was a gorgeous winter wonderland of ice all over my 50 trees back there, which then there was a lot of ice. Then it started getting really heavy. Then my backyard started sounding like Diana's neighborhood, where Diana's neighborhood just sounds like people are shooting each other all the time, because they are. And
they're not each other. They're just shooting out somewhere.
They're shooting things, but yes, there's just gunshots all the time. And that is what a tree sounds like when it breaks. And the sound of thousands of trees breaking is disturbing. and it's just like it's a jump scare. It's just like because you don't know when it's happening. Like it's and so like 24 hours of that.
Oof.
Yeah, that was not a good week. Then my poor kitty, she had a biopsy, but now she's a jazz cat and addicted to heroin or whatever opiate she's on.
Opiates, yeah.
I caught her with a bongo. It's just, like it's sneaking cigarettes,
No, no fedora yet or beret.
Why is it so hard to find a fedora? I'm just very upset.
For a cat, to be clear.
For a
to be
cat.
clear, you can find a fedora. Fedora for a cat.
So, I think we're just used to, at least I am, instant gratification now, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're laying around and you're going, my cat's super high and I want to get her a fedora and a tiny saxophone so I can make a funny picture to put on Instagram of my cat being high.
Yeah.
I should just be able to go to Amazon and go, cat fedora, poof.
I'm amused they had a lizard. Didn't they have a lizard one and not a cat one?
There was one for a bearded dragon. And, well, like the chickens, there was cowboy hats for the chicken, but like there wasn't really a fedora. Like
okay.
And like there were like top hats, and I guess like, but it was like, that's a top hat. It doesn't look like a fedora. Like I did see like a doll for like a chick Indiana Jones that had like a plastic fedora, but like there wasn't even a fedora for a doll. Like, why is this? What the fuck do you have against fedoras, Amazon, like, and Walmart? Like, I'm sure I could have found one on Etsy, but like I wanted it the next day. So like the cat was only like she's only gonna be on drugs for so long.
You can't
hopefully
custom made and mailed.
Yeah. It was like we don't have time to wait for 6 weeks for your bullshit, Etsy. This was I need this shit to come from China overnight. Yeah. Sorry, carbon footprint Earth.
Yeah, we didn't get the ice storm that you did. We just had hold on. We had a very different ice storm.
Yeah,
we
had
our city shut down for multiple days, but we didn't have the coating of ice that destroyed half of the trees. We just had so much ice on the ground that you couldn't leave your driveway. Because even by the time the roads cleared, people still couldn't get out of their driveways. It was a little wild for a couple days.
No, I definitely could not have gotten out of my driveway. But what is weird, driving around here in Austin, like literally through like still dodging trees just because they're everywhere. And people crazy. Like all you hear now are just chainsaw, like it's constant chainsaws, which also not a soothing sound. That is also so weird. Just like I am in like the ASMR from hell week of just like things that maybe that's also why I'm just like on edge and irritated, just because like
that checks out.
Yeah, it's been a stressful week, but on the bright side, we found a new TV show, and I'm fucking stoked. It's called Extraordinary, and it's available on Hulu. I think it's a Hulu original.
I think so.
And the lead girl was the nun in What's the Girls, Dairy Girls, but. TLDR, like everybody in the world gets powers but one girl, but it's just that's not even it. Like it doesn't feel like a superhero show. It just it's hysterical. There's just like some of the best writing I've seen in a long time.
It's like a little bit of the what do they call it? Urban fantasy, a little bit, but without like the creatures. I guess I don't know. So it's like a little bit superhero-y, very much just like young.
It's along like 30-minute comedy. Yeah, it's like The Boys if The Boys was written by a woman.
Okay.
That's kind of my analogy, because the tonality of it has completely changed, but it still kind of has that level of really filthy humor. But because it's British, the filthy humor seems less dirty.
Less dirty. Yeah, it does. I don't know what it is.
And Kelly,
I'm into it. I'm only a couple episodes in, but I'm definitely enjoying it. It's super fun.
Well, you're a couple of episodes in, so you will get this, and everyone else, you'll watch this. Go watch it. I'm not spoiling anything, but so I've been pimping the show out to all my friends because I want to talk about it with everybody, and everybody should watch the show. And my friend just sends me a text message. So can we start calling your cat Jizz Lord? And I'm like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. It's like, why did I not expect that? So That is definitely been it's been a while. I've been needing a show, so
Yeah,
I'm
me
glad.
too. Yeah, I was on the mission for another 30-minute show because that's what I was missing.
Well, this is
But yeah,
not a 30-minute show; it's an hour show.
they're 30-minute
Is
episodes.
it 30? Oh, I don't know. I didn't know how time works.
I was stoked. Well, yeah. Well, let's get into Weekend
Those
at
are
Bobby's.
really only 30 minutes long. Oh, that is so funny. I really thought they were an hour. Okay.
Nope.
Let's talk about this episode.
Yeah.
So, Weekend at Bobby's. This is not a bummer.
Nope.
Finally 0 days. It's not a
Yay.
bummer. This was episode 4 in season 6. It first aired October 15th, 2010. Written by that wonderful duo, Dab and Laughlin. And the director, I think, is somebody, is first time directing for Supernatural, but I think it's somebody y'all would know, and that's Jensen Ackles. What?
Crazy.
It is crazy. So this was, like I said, Jensen Ackles' first episode of directing for the show, and also just his first time directing ever, as far as I could tell. Like, I think, like, you watch there is a behind the scenes that goes into like his journey of directing for the first time. Way to capitalize on that, dudes. But it was, on the DVD that I saw, and then I found it on YouTube and sent the link to Diana. The link will be in the show notes. But yeah, what did you think of that? It was really cool, right?
That was cool. I was seeing how everybody interacted and stuff, and obviously it was entertaining. But it was interesting to just kind of see him like really like kind of got his ass whipped at first, like and really just adjusting to being on that side of things. It was cool.
Yeah, and how much like he really like put his effort into it. Also, like, he looks so young in it, which is very weird to watch. And it's also really nice, like, if you see somebody, like, it's nice to see Jensen Ackles being Jensen Ackles and not Dean and not Soldier Boy, or so. I mean, granted, oh, that was the other thing that I forgot to say. Oh, I forgot to say we have exciting news. There's 2 exciting news things that are happening. So before we get into this episode, 1, finally, Creation has moved the Supernatural and Friends, or whatever the fuck they're calling it now, like Supernatural and other projects, etc. They're moving it to Austin, so out of Dallas. Well, they stopped I'm assuming this is what happened, is probably Jensen and Jared were like, it's stupid for us to drive to Dallas when we live in Austin. I'm assuming that's what happened.
Probably.
And all the people who work on Jared's show live in Austin. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But so that's coming in August. That is very exciting. Also in March, they've added people to Alamo Hero Con. So that'll be, I think it's the second week of March. It's in San Antonio, but I think technically it's in Shirts. So it's San Antonio, like, which I guess is like, them saying that Creation one was in Dallas or was in Plano.
When it's in Plano. Yeah.
But so Supernatural people who will be at that, we'll have Julian Riching, so Death, who Diana has finally got to see, so he will be there. Travis Wester, who was in Ghost Facers. But hilariously, when Alamo HeroCon was tweeting about this, it said hashtag Ghost Chasers. So I'm not sure if that was a autocorrect or somebody done fucked up. But it said hashtag, they're very excited for hashtag Ghost Chasers. But Travis Wester is going to be there, and that's pretty cool. And then also AJ Buckley, who Diana does not know. He comes in much later, but he will also be there along with anime people that I don't understand that. And a baby will also be there. So if you are in the Texas area, that's, it's a very reasonably priced con. I think it's like $20 or something. Like, and like they're always like those meet and greets there are always I'm not saying like Creation stuff is like reasonably priced, but this is just like it's a low budget.
Yeah, so it's definitely on a more cost
effective
conscious range.
Yep.
Sure.
Anyhow, okay. So sorry, I meant to say that earlier. This is why I was supposed to write stuff down, but
It's okay.
we hadn't actually gotten into talking about the episode, so and it all ties together. But very excited.
Yes.
We will definitely be there in August. At least I will be there. I'm assuming I'm going to drag Diana there somehow.
I'll plan on it for August.
Woo-hoo.
Gotta put on my calendar, my master calendar that I live by now, apparently.
All right, so that is all of what we've been doing in the back intro to this episode. So I think we're about ready to dive in.
Yeah,
We're
let's
gonna dive
in.
in. And so first off, recap. So during the recap, you start seeing people pop up, and they're people that make Liz excited because I'm like, oh, it's a Crowley episode. Woo!
Oh, yeah.
Then you see Rufus. Yeah, it's a Rufus episode. Woo! And then you see Jody, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? Oh, this is just gonna be great. And so it's already getting off exciting, right? Yeah. And then we flash to Galveston.
Yes.
And a newscaster speaking, who I don't think I'm fucking with your casting couch notes because I don't think this was in here. I just want to say this before we get into it. That was Jensen's father, Alan Ackles, doing the voice for the newscaster on the TV that Bobby is watching.
That's
so
funny.
What is happening in Galveston?
They were having massive swells, looked like a hurricane, and then all of a sudden it's sunny the next day.
Because it's Texas. Well, actually, it was said it was a year ago. So it was like, like when we would do like 10 years ago, like Katrina happened. But still, like, they're like super like, whoa, like a year ago we had a hurricane. And today it's really pretty.
I don't find that shocking news, but that's okay.
That's how weather works.
Yes.
Yeah, a year ago.
That's how weather works. Weird,
but that's cool. But we don't need to worry about what's on TV because something else is happening.
No, Bobby's doing a summoning spell.
It's a summoning. Yeah. Remember, friends are temporary, but a summoning lasts forever.
And who is he summoning?
He is summoning my boyfriend. And one, I want to know, like, if it's, can I just summon Mark Shepard to my house this way? Is this possible? So according to the wikis, if you're going to summon my boyfriend, Mr. Crowley, what you need are several ingredients. But this one does have a sigil that's very similar to the one that was used to summon Azazel, which is not. I mean, they're both demons, right? But you got to have candles around it. You need a bowl that's got ingredients in it, including the blood of the summoner. So Bobby's blood's in there, so that's gross.
Well, that's why he had the cut on his hand. He had his hand wrapped.
Yep. And you've got to set it aflame with a match. That's why I threw that in there. And then you have to say some weird words in Latin that are kind of like bullshit Latin. But I think basically it says, and reunite them before me. We only hear the end of it. And then, poof.
There he is.
Appears.
So they get real, and he shows up real surly and snarky, like Crowley do.
He does.
And Bobby's kind of insulted by his attitude. He's like, we saved the world together, but you're too good to share a drink with me. And that's when Crowley calls out his taste in whiskey and definitely judges, well, I guess and definitely judges Bobby's rot gut, age 6 days.
As you should. I mean, treat yourself better, Bobby. That's just gross.
But the summary is Bobby wants his soul back because that was the fucking deal, right? They saved the world. Bobby gets his soul back. But of course, Crowley being a demon, he's like, oh, you didn't read the contract. And we have the contract appear on Bobby's skin. And apparently Crowley's only obligated to make best efforts to return the soul.
No. Do you remember where the clause to his contract was? It was on Bobby's naughty bits.
Yes.
So now, does that mean his balls or his penis? And this is by the way, guys, just warning you, this is a penis heavy episode. That word is going to be said a lot. So did Crowley put that on the balls or the penis? And if it's on the balls, I'm assuming Bobby doesn't look like a shaver, right? I mean, he could be. He could surprise us, right? He could be keeping all the nits and bibbles, bubbles neat and clean. But I'm assuming there's some hair there. So How do you read?
Would you
like
be able
what?
to read it?
Yeah, that's
Can I
probably.
bust a mirror out?
That's why I'm like. That's why you never saw the claws.
So
I
Crowley
had too much
says
time on
that.
my hands to think about this stuff.
So Crowley's basically like, yeah, sorry. I said I'd make my best efforts. That's all. And, you're just going to have to, hang out for like 10 years and just take care of yourself till then. Otherwise you go to hell.
Yeah, so very
But,
nice.
and Bobby's like, yeah, I kind of figured this was going to happen, but so you're trapped in a devil's trap.
Well, specifically, he says, "I went Dateline on your ass." And so Dateline on your ass, that means, it lights up fluids. So did Bobby like pee or something else to make the devil's trap?
I thought it was blood.
I mean, Crowley kind of says the same thing because he was like, I hope that's paint. Because
Ew. I didn't go there at all. Thanks for putting that in my brain.
hey, apparently Crowley went there too. So I'm just saying,
Oh,
that's what Dateline lights up. It's you're either luminol blood or other things.
I was thinking blood, but okay. But Crowley expected this too, because they both kind of know how each other operates at this point, and he's got his hellhound there.
I wish we learned the hellhound's name. Why did he say it?
It's got with its gnarly puppy breath right in Bobby's face, so he has to break the edge of the trap and let Crowley go.
Oh,
bummer. So we cut to Kenosha, Wisconsin, present day, at the playground, where we've got Sam and Dean are in the woods adjacent to the playground with a dead body.
And
like you do.
The body has a massive hole in its chest. And also
Yeah, it does.
pretty big claw. Big claw, big deal.
Big claw in its chest. No other signs of things. Anything else going on. So they call Bobby and send him a picture of this giant claw with the fancy, I don't know, they're sending it from their phone to his dial-up internet. I don't really know what's happening there. It's very weird.
So what's happening is they sent me on a rabbit hole, and so because when Dean says, he tells Bobby to check his wang, and I mean, did you even remember there was a thing called wang?
Not until somebody said it, and I was like, oh yeah, I vaguely remember that.
I don't even remembering that. And
Dave remembered it. Babe
yeah,
did. He was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, after I looked at that, I was just like, man, somebody needs to make the documentary of it. If you really, I think it's worth just go down a wang hole. I did it for a little while last night. And so at the very least, go to YouTube and Google, I guess, search for Wang Super Bowl. And you can see they have two commercials that were during the Super Bowl. One was David versus Goliath, and that was supposed to be them versus IBM. And the second one was just this helicopter outside of a skyscraper shooting somebody in that was supposed to be IBM, and it was whoa.
It was, the metaphor was not veiled.
No, I don't know who apparently they had to pull the commercial off the air, and so I encourage you. We'll also drop it in the show notes.
Oh, yeah. So
yes, that was his wang.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was just so. Anyway, so he tries to tell the brothers that he's busy right now, but he goes ahead and does his research. And
no, he does not do his research. He has a montage. He gets to have a montage.
He does.
To what song?
The Gambler by Kenny Rogers.
It was so good. It was so good for him.
It was. And so he's cruising across. Well, he first says a word, which I know is an iconic Bobby word. This is the first time we hear him say in this episode, balls.
Yes, the first of many. I think there can be a balls counter that goes on, but he does say balls because the book he has doesn't have what he needs, right? And so
he needs to go on a mission.
Yep.
So he's driving across town, and a pretty blonde lady's waving at him from her front yard, from her mailbox,
and she's waving.
Oh, waving, flirty waving. Mm-hmm. So he goes to the Sioux Falls Library, and they're closed, so he breaks in, like you do.
Boo. Don't break it.
And steals a book,
Boo.
like you do. And he does say balls again here.
Yeah, we have 2 balls in there. He gets a balls when he goes into the library, and then a balls when the car won't start.
Mm-hmm. And then he gets home and he's researching into the early hours of the night, taking NoDoz. Remember that?
I wonder if that still exists.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it does, just caffeine pills. It's not good for you, but I'm sure it exists.
Yeah, I don't know why I ever had to have that. But anyway, so the NoDoz and the coffee, and he's just doing his job until the sun comes up.
Yeah. And he calls Dean and says, "You're hunting a Lamia." So it juices the heart and drinks the blood.
Chugs the blood. But I've never heard of one popping up outside of Greece, though.
Mm-hmm. So he basically, the easiest way to kill it is
a silver. Dean wants to know how to gank it. We have to acknowledge when they say the G word.
But I was trying to save you from it.
No, you have to. We have to shame them every time they do.
Well, they need a silver knife blessed by a padre to gank the Lamia.
And then Dean just hangs up without saying thank you or anything. Just rude. He's just being really
very dismissive.
He's being really rude this whole episode, so far. He's just he's being a jerk.
But then we hear a voice call out to Bobby, a woman's voice, saying, "I'm still here."
Oh my God, that's not just a woman. That's a crossroads demon. We can tell because her eyes are red.
Yes. So he goes down. He's downstairs in the basement. He's got the crossroads demon tied up, and she makes a crack about his alcoholism. But basically, he's trying to torture out of her Crowley's real name.
And he's torturing her with this. This is the first time we start seeing this happen. So he's got her bones and I guess a flamethrower. Is that what you would call that?
Yeah. Torch. Flamethrower thing. Yeah. It's a torch.
Very convenient is what it is.
It's a butane hand torch.
And I want it. Whatever that is, I really do want it. And
you can make creme brulee with it.
Yes, think of all the giant brulee that I can make with that. So, but while he's torching, every time he hits her bones with this fire, she burns a little and I think you saw it if you in that little bit of the Jensen's behind the scenes, what they were doing for the visual effects on her, how that was makeup mixed in with CGI and then just in general effects. It was just really well done. Just having that one little piece burn up and then go back down and be normal skin again. It was really good.
Yeah. And then in the scene, the demon's saying "Oh, it's a myth that's not going to work anyways," but it obviously does. And we don't, as the viewer, see what's in this.
Oh
what they're
no,
burning.
she was mistaken.
But we, as the viewer, don't see what he's burning. He shows her, and he's obviously burning something in this bag, but we don't see it at this point in time.
Oh, fair.
They reveal it later in the episode.
I just knew. I guess I forgot that you didn't know that. I thought you could see that they were bones.
Nope, they don't show you.
Okay.
But anyway, so finally she's like, "No, Crowley's the king, and Bobby king, and Bobby's like, yeah, of Crossroads, duh." And she's like, "No, he's the king of hell."
Oh, and she's screaming it. She's like, "It's the king of hell!" Oh. So he has upgraded. Daddy got him. Now he can be his daddy now. So now Crowley is his daddy because he's the king of hell. And I really don't know the difference between a daddy and a zaddy, whatever. But anyways, okay. So,
but then the doorbell rings and interrupts all of this fun. So Marcy is the name of our lovely blonde neighbor, and she got the hots for Bobby. She's only lived next door for 6 months, and she's got ginger peach cobbler, which does sound pretty good. And you hear in the background our demon screaming for help while she's inviting him to come over for dinner sometime.
So Marcy, I get it, right? You moved to Sioux Falls, and I am fairly certain your Tinder, it's just a lot of swipe left because it's Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and you've got this good looking man who Jim Beaver, attractive man, so Bobby, attractive, but also he's a loner. You see him he leaves his house for days on end, but he's got a junkyard. Yeah, you should probably stay away from Bobby. I'm just that's not a
There's a
good
lot of red
choice.
flags.
Yeah, don't go to the loner dude like next door. I mean, I get it, it's convenient, and also it's not going to work out, and you're going to have to see him all the time driving up, and you're going to have to be
As
like,
your neighbor.
that wave that you did that was so fun earlier is going to be so awkward.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah,
So, but Bobby covers up for the screams in the background by saying it's saying he's watching a horror movie. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, have you seen Drag Me to Hell?" Which is funny.
it is doubly funny because it is about a Lamia. So dropping that in there, Sam and Dean are chasing a Lamia.
I wouldn't know that because I don't watch those movies.
I would know that because it was in the Supernatural wiki, and that's why I know it. That was also Drag Me to Hell was also a Sam Raimi film.
I do like Sam Raimi.
I do like Sam Raimi, so now I'm like, okay, I should probably watch it.
So, anyways, she doesn't want Bobby to come over for dinner, maybe watch Drag Me to Hell at her place. But Bobby gets real weird, rightfully so. So then she pivots and is like, well, maybe you can just fix my wood chipper.
Is that what we're calling it these days?
It's a violent name for it.
It is.
It's not an enticing name.
Oh my god! My brain is fast forwarded. It's already doing it spewing blood. Oh anyway, so she tries to do Netflix and chill, and that doesn't work. So she just she throws like one last Hail Mary and like, oh, you're good at fixing things. Come fix my stuff. So you have an excuse to come over.
Yeah. Anyways, it's awkward departure. She leaves, and with him being non-committal about maybe coming over the weekend to do that. But Bobby's going to go keep burning this demon, who finally gives the name Fergus McCloud.
Yes, it is Fergus McCloud. And then she says, we call him Lucky the leprechaun behind his back. And Bobby just looks at her with like the best, like, you dumb bitch look on his face.
Mm-hmm.
And what does he say?
It's Scottish, not Irish.
Yeah, McCloud's Scottish Einstein. Like,
yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Demons are stupid.
But she thought she was going to get released by Bobby, but she's not.
Demons are stupid.
He said he gave his best effort and he burns her up.
Oh, poor Crossroads demon. She really didn't do anything but work for Crowley. I think that's unfair. So we cut to a map of Scotland on the table while Bobby is he's answering phones. And
I think they do a good job illustrating how busy Bobby is and how much he's supporting the hunter community, though, I think, in this, because he's answering all these calls and, like, his regular phone rings and he's helping out, like, as Bobby, someone. And then, like, the FBI phone calls or rings and he's got to answer that and be an FBI guy. And then he's got to go back and say, no, report this to the actual FBI. And, like, this whole circle of things and just fielding a bunch of stuff.
Well, and there's a few things like within that too. So the person who is like telling that too about the FBI is named Garth.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't met a Garth yet. I'm just saying that's someone we have not, but that's just, who he said on the phone that he hasn't heard of doing that. But also just in terms of the supernatural story, I wonder if this was, while Bobby couldn't be out in the field, he progressed into this, right? Because I think before, like, he kind of, like, he knew stuff, but I don't think it was, like, he wasn't command central. So I think he just got really bored while he was, confined to his house more. And just like started calling up people and then like, oh, I can be the FBI. Oh, I can be the CEO, whatever.
Yeah. But then Rufus interrupts all this because he's at the door and needs help bearing a body, like you do sometimes. And but he's got the law on his tail.
Oh! There was one more line there that I wanted to say. So he does one of the things that he said when he answered the phone was, "Of course she's one of ours, and if she says she's got to dig that grave up, you better damn well let her." Back to the fun with Rufus with the law on his tail.
Yeah, and he found an Okami in Billings, but they're usually only seen in Japan. So now we've got a Lamia that's usually only seen in Greece and an Okami that's usually only seen in Japan. So they go fire up the backhoe to throw this body in the pit in the middle of Bobby's junkyard.
Smart to use the backhoe.
It is.
Not smart to do it in the asphalt. Like there was
No,
like a patch of grass
like
right next to
it was
it.
gravelly stuff, but yeah, it was weird.
That seems like way harder. Like it's still like I know it's a machine, but there was grass like right there. Yeah. Anyways,
and they piece together. Bobby tells Rufus about the Crowley situation and McLeod being his real name, and that he was able to piece together kind of where Crowley was from because of his preference in whiskeys. Ooh, smart. Because it's a very specific Craig. It's a very specific whiskey.
Yeah, and so according to the wiki, they say that that's Glencraig, but I don't think it is because Glencraig was only made between 1958 and 1961. Like, it is a very like super special whiskey that is made in that region. Like, there's like that area where they're talking about. There's a ton of distilleries there. Like, you know, that's what people do in the Highlands and make fucking whiskey with a Y, not an EY. And so, yeah, it's. But shockingly, Rufus has a lot of friends in Scotland.
Yeah, and this is where we start this other montage of a repeated scene of Bobby attempting to eat the cobbler that Marcy dropped off and getting interrupted every time. I'd be so mad. I'd be answering the phone with a mouthful.
Yeah, I'm like, why are you putting it down? Like, who are you? Like, the other person's got to talk sometimes. Like, do you have any like phone calls, conference calls, Zoom calls, things like where I've got food in my face?
There's some, yeah, it's fine. So Dean's on the phone, needs an alternate way to kill the Lamia. He's standing over a dead priest, and Sam's getting his ass kicked. So Bobby's
and it's very comical the way like Sam getting like his ass kicked because
it's pretty funny,
and the way that so good on you Jensen Ackles for directing it this way, you know, having him like on the phone in the front and then just the background action of just like things flying back behind you. I love like that's one of my favorite.
You don't see the Lamia,
things.
you only see you don't see the Lamia, you only see Sam flying around.
Yeah,
it's funny, very funny. Well done, for sure. And so Bobby starts giving instructions because he realizes you're in a church. There's a kitchen. Here's the things you need. So he's giving instructions on these other ingredients, salt and rosemary. And as this happens, there is a knock at the door. It is FBI agent Adams with Sheriff Jody Mills.
Jody!
Yes.
So Jody is there. And we get another balls, so that the balls is for the knocking. And so in the back, we see him like Dean is like prepping, like doing all the things that Bobby's telling him to, right? And so like, salting and the rosemary, like that's all like happening in the background.
And Bobby tells the agent and the sheriff that he's on the phone with his mom.
It makes sense.
Recipe.
Yep.
It's pretty smart. And as this is all happening, Dean pulls the gas line off of the stove, lights it on fire to finish the job with the Lamia.
I really enjoyed in the behind the scenes video where you saw the fire guy like light that for Jensen and then like hand it to him. Like I liked watching the fire safety behind because like they're not just like here's like this flamethrower. Like it was so good.
That's funny. So interesting. Yeah, we've got the sheriff and the agent are like, we need to look around. There's this guy named Rufus, aliases are Luther Vandross and Reuben Studdard.
And bonus points if you remember who Reuben Studdard was.
I did. I was really into American Idol first.
Well, I people who are not of our like there's a whole bunch of people watching TikTok right now who have no idea that's is. True. But that's true. But then then Bobby says, "Nope, never seen that dick."
And they're like, "How do you know he's a dick?" He said, "Lucky guess." Oh. But basically, he was seen pulling onto Bobby's property with a body, which is weird to me because you wouldn't see the body in the bed of his truck. It's just weird. I don't know. So, anyways, Bobby's like, well, that's ridiculous. So, you can't look. I don't really want you looking around without a warrant.
Bobby knows his rights.
Yeah. So
They cannot
Jody's
look
gonna
around your
step in
place
here.
without probable cause. And frankly, guy pulling wanted felon pulling up in your place, but that's probable cause. But whatever. Okay. Anyways, but Bobby, you stand up for your rights.
So Jody steps in. She's like, "Look, Bobby's a crank, and he's not a fan of Big Brother." But
Jody makes a penis joke. Penis-centric episode. She makes a penis joke. She tells him to zip it up.
Well, anyway, so she's been arresting Bobby for 10 years. We got history. She can sort it out with them. They've got a relationship. And so so the agent steps outside and Bobby's like, "Oh, BT dub, Jody, I've got a body in the basement and another one buried in the yard."
Like you do.
She's not thrilled. She looks outside to check up where her agent is that's outside, and he is not standing on the porch where they thought he would be. So we get another balls from Bobby.
I missed that balls.
Yeah. So outside, they find the agent standing next to a giant hole in the ground that happens to be a busted open hole from the inside where they had buried the Okami. So that's not good.
It's not good. And Bobby tells the Fed that the septic tank exploded. And then I started panicking about can septic tanks explode?
Yeah. I feel like they can, but it's probably uncommon. I don't know.
That's terrifying.
I don't want to know.
I don't want my septic tank to explode.
I don't think that's a normal thing.
Anyway, so we get rid of the Fed that way because he just goes away. But we get to another one. Okay, also I just love Bobby and Rufus together so much.
Yeah,
and I think this is the first time that we get this dynamic, right? Before it's always been it was Dean and we haven't had Bobby and Rufus. We've had
not
Dean and
not kicking it like this.
No, we've had Dean and Rufus, and then on where the episode where Joe and Ellen died, we had Rufus. No, he wasn't there. He was in the D. No, we've never had Bobby and Rufus. This is the first time.
And so Bobby calls Rufus though, tells him, "You got to come back. This Okami ain't dead." And he's like, "Yeah, no, of course it is. It was I used bamboo blessed by a Shinto, stabbed 7 times." He's like, "Oh no, I only did 5 times." And they argue about it, and it's oh shit, 2 to go. So apparently this Okami was known for feeding on single white females while they slept. Oh, guess what single white female that do we know of in this episode?
Me.
Good old Marcy.
No? Oh, Mercy. Okay. Yeah, I also was just like, shit, how am I going to sleep tonight? Still hooked up that system. All right, so Bobby goes bursting into Mercy's house. And Mercy is in a fucking white nightgown. God damn it.
So he just straight up breaks in her door. What the fuck, brah?
No, not cool, Bobby. Yeah. Not cool. You've got a gun.
And then immediately asks where the bedroom is, which is not a great first question after that.
You look a little rapey, Bobby. That's a little rapey. You've got a shotgun. There's a woman in a nightgown. But she doesn't seem she's kind of just perturbed. She's not she's afraid.
More what are you doing? What is happening? This is ridiculous. You're freaking me out. She follows him and she's like, no, I want to know what's going on. And so as she's he asks if she's seen anything weird in her response is, besides you, which is reasonable. Very reasonable. Yeah. But then she sees over Bobby's shoulder and Okami up in the corner, up on the ceiling.
And the Okami has fantastic style. You would not see her in a white nightgown. No, you would not. She's got this great little pyramid belt on. She's got this nice little jacket with studs on. Really digging the Okami here.
Yeah. And she fights with Bobby and throws him out the window. Mary manages to run out of the bedroom and close the door and leave them in there while the Okami goes after Bobby, which is funny. So they get in a fight though next to the wood chipper, which we think is broken at this point. And the Okami's about to push Bobby in. It's not good. Looks bad for Bobby. But then he's able to flip the script, and Marcy runs outside and screams, and the freaking wood chipper gets turned on, and he shoves it through. And blood sprays out of the other end of this wood chipper. And it is hilarious and gross.
Well, because it sprays all over Marcy.
It does. And Bobby has no idea what is happening. until he looks up and sees that she has not only been watching this whole thing, but she is also covered in blood and bits of okapi.
So
it's gross.
And he says to her, "I thought your chipper was broke."
And basically, she just said that to get him to come over.
She cries it out. She's like, "I just said that to get you over here." And then he's just like, "Look, I guess I could come over for dinner. It could be fun." And then she says, "I don't think so." Boo! No. Fuck you, Marcy. I hope you get eaten by an Okami. That man just he saved your ass. That Okami was going to eat you because you were single and alone and sad.
And he saved your life.
Yeah, you fuck that man. I'm sorry. That is at least worth a hand job. He put I at least give him something, Mercy. Just a little tug. What the fuck, man? Yeah, you deserve what's coming to you. Anyways, we actually don't know what happened to Marcy. We never find out. I think that should be somebody tell me what happened.
Moved after she saw Bobby throw a body through the wood chipper in her side yard.
Well, I also saw a woman crawling on your ceiling.
On your ceiling.
What would you? Yeah, I don't know.
I got the heebie-jeebies, and I'd look up in the corners of my room now.
Yeah.
Why did you do that to me?
But I mean, I was I would move out of that house. But could you move into any house? You only live in a round house.
You have to find a dome
That's
house.
How you move into
no
a
corners.
dome because Okami can't hang into the corner. I didn't know that's why you needed them. Anyways, so the love between Marcy and Bobby is no more, and Rufus is now called Bobby, and they have another wonderful conversation. And Rufus just how did you happen to have a bamboo dagger blessed by a Shinto priest laying around?
And he didn't. Wood chipper trumps everything.
It does. So wood chippers do trump everything, but do they trump how well Diana has been paying attention to this episode? Actually, this has nothing to do with you don't have to remember as much. So we are going to do lore. Ish, I guess is the lore thing. We're going to do a thing I'm calling Lamia Okami-a. And Diana is going to have to guess if I am talking about the mythology folklore behind a Lamia or an Okami.
Okay.
And then, because it just sounds more fun if we say Lamia Okami-a, right?
Yeah. Fair.
All right. So, first question, you ready?
Yes.
All right. When translated in the language from the place that it's from, it means wolf. Which means wolf. Lamia or Okami?
Lamia.
No, it's Okami. That is actually a Japanese wolf. Although sometimes it's also called Mormo, which can be roughly translated as a terrible wolf-like monster. All right. Number 2. The name of this creature also became a word for mistresses.
See, I want to say Okami, but now I bet that's Lamia. Damn it. I'm going to go with Okami.
It's Lamia. So that was, it was from where this is, I will say, was right now, I'll give you a few more hints just because, if you dig it from the episode. So, Lamias, remember they're from Greece. They said that in the episode. Yeah. So, think about that, right? And Okamis are Japan. So that may help with some things. All right.
I know. I should. I'm overthinking. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Your third question. This word also became another word for witches.
I'm going to go with... Oh, man. I'm going to go with Okami.
Lamia.
Damn. I'm struggling today.
Yeah, so... I'll give you another hint.
No, I mean, that's all right.
Okay,
let me just struggle. Let me suffer through.
I'll let you suffer.
Everybody can suffer with me.
Okay. Number 4. All right. In the mythology, when visited by the moon god, this creature greeted him by vomiting food for a banquet and then was run through by the moon god's sword.
That's going to be an Okami because we talked about moon and it's wolves.
Correct. That is an Okami. It also in Shinto mythology, Ukamoki Nukami is the Japanese goddess who possesses food in Shinto mythology. She is the goddess of food. And so the moon god was sent by his sister, the sun. And so they got mad about, he got mad about this visit and having to kill the woman who was puking on him because she puked up fishes and stuff for him so he could eat them. I thought it was really nice. I mean, so she was like, have some sushi. And apparently he thought that was gross. But I thought, she's being generous. But this apparently is why the sun and the moon don't hang out.
Oh, okay.
There is another thing in here too, just one further thing about that. Another messenger sent to the food goddess found various stuffs produced from her dead body. From her head came the ox and the horse. From her forehead, millet. From her eyebrows, silkworms. From her eyes, panic grass, a cereal. From her belly, rice. And from her genitals, wheat and beans. Wheat and beans.
Huh.
Woo! Who knew? All right. So of those two, the Lamia or the Okami, which can shapeshift?
I feel like that was a hint, but I feel like it's the Lamia because they're the witches and all of those other things. But I'm going to guess it's Okami because we just talked about their body becoming all these things.
Stop overthinking shit. It's a Lamia.
Damn it. I was right at first.
Okay. You think too much. Okay. Number 6.
I do.
Which one is known to prey on young children or young men?
Lamia.
Yes, Lamia. Which can guide you through the forest?
Okami.
Yes. For which, to show your gratitude, would you leave out a straw sandal?
Okami.
Yes, because it's a dog. It wants to play with the shoe. I'm sorry, I just think that's the best thing ever. You just show you leave out a shoe for it to chew
on.
Isn't that
That's
great?
pretty funny.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny. I like it.
All right. Number 9. Which one became a monster after their babies were repeatedly killed?
Okami?
No, that is the Lamia. So think about Greece, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Lamia kept getting impregnated by Zeus, and Hera kept killing the babies. Remember Greece with the gross,
and then they get big mad because there's
and then she gets mad because her husband keeps fucking this woman and then kills her babies. So so which of these has removable eyes that they can put in to search for their victims?
With Lamia.
That is the Lamia, because it was basically whether either in her grief, madness, or insomniatic curse that Hera gave her, she just couldn't shut her eyes. And so the lack of sleep forced her to forever envision her dead children. So this was something that Zeus felt bad about. So he let her be able to take out her eyes so she wouldn't feel sad. After he kept fucking, I hate Zeus so much. Even unless he's playing, I even hate Russell Crowe Zeus. I hate Russell Crowe Zeus. All right. So that was the 10th question, but I have one for a bonus.
All
right. The band Seppuku Pistols claim to be descendants of which one?
Seppuku Pistols?
Seppuku
Pistols be Okami.
Yes, because that is Japanese. So this is so great. They are obviously with pistols, right? So think of they do have some punk rock in them. They claim themselves as the last survivors of the Japanese wolves, Okami. So Okami really is a word that there were wolves in Japan that went extinct, and they were called Okami. So seppuku pistols claim to be the last survivors of those wolves, and they are also a metaphor for lost tradition and culture of Edo, just basically like westernization of Japan. So there's some things that, I don't know, they're really cool to watch though. There's a good documentary on them. So I also just like seppuku pistols.
Seppuku pistols.
So that was our quiz on, that was Lamia Okami-a.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about myself after getting a 50% on a quiz that had 2 possible answers to each question, but that's okay.
I also,
overthinking it.
You were overthinking, and it was kind of torn because this is the only time I think in Supernatural that Lamia come up. They are one of my favorite characters in the circus books by I forget which romance author has it. There's the paranormal circus books. I may have given them to you, but there's Lamia in there who's a badass, and I love her. But basically, they're associated with snakes, but they're also kind of a woman hating thing because Greece. So Lamia end up becoming like these snake women that are kind of like a predecessor of vampires. That they would go around with their fangs and like drink men blood or children because she got sad because our children someone kept killing her kids and she went crazy. Go fucking figure.
Yeah, weird how that works.
Weird how that works. I was gonna say like y'all kind of made that happen, anyways. So so that was yay. I love Lamia. So all right, so we are back to the conversation where Rufus and Bobby are talking, and Rufus has a lead on Crowley.
He does. He's figured out that good old Fergus, aka Crowley, was born in 1661 in Scotland and had a son named Gavin,
which makes him Gavin McLeod.
Yes.
Did you not watch Highlander?
No.
Gavin McLeod is a Highlander, so I'm just very annoyed that they made a Highlander.
Well, so yeah, I mean, I know it's a popular thing. I just haven't watched it. So anyway, Gavin died in a shipwreck outside of Massachusetts in the 1700s, and there were not any bones recovered. But a few years ago, they did find a signet ring, and it is in the Treasures of the Deep exhibit at a maritime museum in Andover.
Yes, and also like coming up on the Travel Channel, you can find the documentary on the Treasures of the Deep exhibit that they found underneath.
So Bobby's like, I need that fucking ring. So Rufus, you got to help me. And they know basically that he wants to summon the sun to get help to swap for his soul to Crowley.
This is really sweet, right? Because what this is really saying, because Rufus is like, dude, I'm already almost there. Like, he was like, I know you're going to need help. Bobby, you've got friends. Like, I know, like, and we'll kind of get to this in a little bit, but you can see how he's getting eaten. And right here, you can see, like, you have this friend that was already almost there.
Yep.
And he's going to
go. He's in trouble. He's already on the run from the cops, but he's going to go try to steal this ring
rob
from a
museum for you. That's a friend.
But Bobby didn't really want to ask. He didn't want to ask Rufus for help when he told him about the problem, but Rufus just insisted on helping. He didn't want to ask Rufus for help now, but he's kind of like, beating around the bush, having trouble asking for help, but he kind of does. And Rufus is like, already there. So
I got you.
Finally, Bobby's going to eat some cobbler, though. That's the most important part here.
Fair.
But then the phone rings.
God damn it.
And Dean sounds concerned. He really wants to vent out his feelings about how different Sam is since he's been back, and really wants to hear has questions for Bobby about the year that Sam was back that they didn't tell Dean. But Rufus is calling, so Bobby's got to get that. And Dean's real like, well, there's more important than Sam. And Rufus is being chased by the police now. He's had to swallow the ring, to Bobby's disappointment.
And also, I love Bobby knows that is going to be his go-to. Like, they're the kind of friends, like, don't you dare swallow that ring. I know you're going to lean like, I swallowed it. I love Rufus so much. But Dean is just being a little bitch. Such a little bitch. Sure. And then
So
what's worse is
because
like
Bobby's flipping back and forth
yeah.
on the phone between Rufus and Dean. Rufus is about to get like jacked by the cops with a signet ring that he stole in his belly.
Yeah, but literally
Dean's
jacked by the cops. In the background, you can hear Rufus yelling, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! That is unnecessary force. I know my rights." He's a black man in Massachusetts getting pulled over by the cops.
And Dean's like whining, and Bobby's the only person I can talk to you about Sam and Lisa and Ben. I just want to know what's going on. And Bobby's like, it's just not a good time. But Dean's like, anyway, so it's just.
What's more important than Sam, Bobby? What's more important than Sam? And so finally,
and then he calls Bobby selfish.
Oh, no. Nope.
And that's when Bobby stops.
And it's wonderful.
Wants to know where Sam is. So Sam gets him from outside, puts Bobby on speaker, and Bobby definitely poured a glass of whiskey for this speech.
And I think we've all been on those phone calls where like, I've got something to say, but I need this drink right here before I say it.
Mm-hmm. And Bobby tells him, he's like, I love you like my own. But sometimes you are whiny and self-absorbed. I do everything for you guys. And all you do is complain about each other. You call and I'm always helping, and I know that y'all have issues, but you're not the center of the universe. And reminder that Crowley has my fucking soul. So can you sack up and help me for once?
And Jim Beaver is just amazing during this whole like scene, like when he's chewing their asses out. And it's also really wonderful, like at some point in there when he just is like, look, I'm here when you need someone to bitch to about each other. And Sam just looks at Dean and has this look at his face about like, you call Bobby to bitch about me?
Yeah, he does.
It's such a great, like, again, like Ackles, your directing job was great because that was such a great scene to capture, like just that look on Sam's face of like, what?
Mm-hmm.
It's so wonderful. And then they start like interrupting him, and he's just like, do I sound like I'm done?
But at the end, it turns into that when he asks for help, Sam says, all you got to do is ask. And Dean says, we're there. So they are there. But you can tell it's really hard for Bobby to ask for help. So we've got 3 things that we're learning about Bobby, I would say, in this episode. Number 1, he's kind of turned into everybody's go-to guy, but he's terrible. And there's a lot of people that support him and want to help him, but he sucks at asking for help, which is important for all of us to remember that sometimes it's hard to ask for help, and we should do that when we need help because we have people that support us. And number 2, Bobby can never eat this fucking cobbler, and it's stressful as fuck. Those are my takeaways so far.
I thought you said there's 3 things.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember what the third one. There's a 2. Sorry, a couple, 2 takeaways.
There's
sorry,
2 takeaways.
Third one.
Well,
he says balls a lot. I think I was going to mention that balls is his go-to statement.
Yeah,
which then was stuck in my head this week, and I did not say it because I had a lot of people visiting from work.
So I do love one that the boys are just like, of course, like. You don't even have to ask. Like, we're here for you. And I also do really also appreciate the line, I'll be damned if I'm going to sit around and be damned. That was a good wordsmithing. Really like that one. So we cut from like the boys finally being like, of course we got you, to Bobby standing on the side of a bridge.
And who pulls up but good old Sheriff Jody Mills. And she mentions that she got a report of a home invasion at Marcy's house, but that she wasn't gonna actually process the report.
I'm also like, Jody, it's a little shady. Like that's like,
super shady.
It's super shady. Like, you're not even investigating. Like, what if like I've seen this Dateline? We're gonna go back and like they're gonna be like, and that Sheriff Jody Mills didn't even investigate. Oh my god! Like something's gonna happen to Marcy later. Oh, and someone's gonna do a podcast of Marcy. Anyway, so Rufus like has a favor.
So Bobby's trying to ask the Sheriff Jody Mills to get Rufus extradited to Sioux Falls for murder. And then, but she's like, I'd have to pull like all of my favors. And then what? And Bobby's like, I'll handle it after that. And she's like, this would, nuke her career. and it's really risky. And Bobby's like, look, I've done a lot for this town and some stuff you don't even know about. I'm asking for help here, and because I suck asking for help. And she says
Oh,
she can't do it.
yeah,
Which
because
is kind of reasonable.
it is
but
a
sucks.
very reasonable thing to say no to, because I am fairly certain that trying to get an extradition from another state on a charge that hasn't been filed, like, she literally has to like make up evidence to like, you can't just go to the DA and say, I would like to file a murder charge and have somebody extradited from Massachusetts and I don't have any evidence.
Doesn't work that way.
No.
So
Bobby,
we cut later, though, a little while later. I'm disappointed because she reasonably said that she could not do this. A little while later, Sheriff Mills, Jody's at Bobby's front door with Rufus.
Yes, and they're very excited to see each other, and Bobby puts down the very large glass of, oh my god, Bobby, your liver. You need to stop drinking so much whiskey. Cut that shit with some water or something, man. I'm worried about
But she tells them they've got 1 hour, and then she's calling the feds.
Well, she's calling the feds. They say he busted out. Like,
she say he busted out. Yeah. Yes.
Oh no,
but it's on Bobby.
Him.
But she said it's on Bobby if she gets fired. So, anyways, Rufus, she leaves, and Rufus tries to hand the signet ring to Bobby. Well, Bobby would prefer it go into boiling water first.
Yep. So now that we have that, it's time for another summoning. Yay! It's another summoning, but this time we're not summoning a demon, we're summoning a ghosty.
A ghost.
And so when you put what he said, which was Amate, Spiritus, Escorte, blah, 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 into Google Translate, it says it's Latin. And because there was nobody else who had this like all the way out in there, so I just went to Google Translate, and that says, love the spirits, kiss us, we will plow with us, and we will be Chikatara.
Huh. Okay then.
So we will plow,
make out with ghosts,
kiss us, we'll plow with us, and we'll be Chikatara, which is apparently not a word in any language, because I just tried putting that word in there, so
didn't work.
I may have just, somebody transcribed that wrong. Anyhow, so who shall appear to plow with Bobby?
Ghost Gavin MacLeod appears. And he asks if he's in hell. That's his first question.
And he's Scottish, funny. So I'm going to say the only thing I say in Scottish. And he wants to know where the whores are. No, he doesn't ask that, but...
But Bobby just wants to chat and about his dad. And that's it. And we get a cut here. We cut scene after this. All we know is that the ghost is there. Bobby wants to talk to him. And then we cut away. And we cut again, though,
to another
Bobby summoning Crowley. So we got our third
His
summoning.
cauldron is just like getting so much work. He literally has another cauldron out.
And Crowley doesn't look great at first when he shows up here.
He's a little tired.
But he tells Bobby, he's like, look, you just got to know when to fold him, because he thinks he's got the upper hand on Crowley or on Bobby still.
But also, but when you say he doesn't look great, it's because hell's not all rainbows and two-headed puppies.
I know, it's not.
So now we've confirmed the hellhounds have two heads.
That's true. And Bobby's revealing that he knows that Crowley's in charge of hell now. And so Crowley's like, all right, let's have a fucking drink. And talk about this. He says the problem with demons, though, is they're demons. They are evil. They lie. And he's like, I try to show them a new way to do things, but
they're stupid.
Maybe the Lucifer's plan to get rid of all the demons wasn't the worst plan ever.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Because they're stupid.
But Bobby says he isn't Dr. Phil and doesn't want to hear all this. So
well, Bobby asks him if he looks like Dr. Phil, and he goes, a little.
Kind of. Yeah. And then Crowley mocks.
It's a wonderful
Bobby.
Evil monologue.
It's a good one.
Do you have it?
He tries to play out basically what he knows that Bobby's going to say and how this whole dialogue's going to go, and does this whole is a mini monologue mocking Bobby, and they're doing their dialogue back and forth. I want my soul back, idiot. But I'm surly and I've got a beard. Give me.
Blah, blah, blah. Homespun corn pun insult. Witty retort. Yours truly. The bottom line is you get bupkis. Are we done? But surprise! So,
But
like, because if we're
surprise.
feeling like Dr. Phil or perhaps Maury Povich, you're a dad.
You are the father.
You are the father.
And he's like, yeah, congrats. Nice plan. But I hate my son. So are you going to torture him? Because I want to watch that too. And maybe bring his bones so I can send him to hell. But Bobby's like, no. That's not a chip like that. That's not what I was doing. I just wanted to dig up dirt on you. So Gavin hates you too, maybe more, and told me everything about you. Uh-oh.
Including?
What did he tell him? Oh, he was a 2-bit tailor who sold his soul for 3 inches on his dick.
An extra 3 inches below the belt. And he said he was just trying to hit the double digits. Then for some reason in the Supernatural wiki, somebody added into there that the average erect penis is 5 to 6 inches long, flaccid, somewhat shorter. I'm not sure why that was in the Supernatural wiki, but I'm happy it was there. Also, in the Supernatural wiki, it says when Crowley was human, his name was Fergus Roderick MacLeod, Fergus MacRoch, a character from the Ulster cycle of Irish mythology, is famed for his virility, which is also the meaning of the name Fergus, and for the size of his penis.
Oh.
Yes, so the Fergus MacRoch has a giant dick. So, penis, I told you. Lots of penises.
Well, throughout all of this, Bobby's got a phone queued up and ready to go. Tells Crowley they know where he's planted, meaning where his bones are buried. And so he throws the phone to him, and it's Dean and Sam. They're in Scotland, sitting next to dug up bones of Fergus MacLeod. And that's dangerous because they could burn these bones right now.
Okay.
Unless they give Bobby his soul back, because he's enough, right? That's all he needs. So yeah, it's a little bit of a pickle for Crowley, but he's not going to let himself get burned up. So there we go.
So in the countenance for balls, we get Crowley saying bollocks.
We do.
And Scotland is surprisingly, Jensen and Jared did not fly to Scotland. That is actually Vancouver. They were filming. Surprise.
My one bitch is that Dean is sitting here flicking his Zippo open and closed over and over again, which is a very distinct sound. And he makes a reference to flicking his Bic. And now I know flick your Bic with like an ad line from Bic lighters, but that's just
yeah. But what is he gonna say? I'm flicking my Zippo.
I don't know. I just feel like it's a distinct sound. It sounds like a fucking Zippo.
Yeah, but I think he's trying to say I'm about to set your bones on fire, and they can't say I'm flipping my Zippo for you. I'm flicking my Bic.
I guess. So, anyways, so Crowley gives the soul back to Bobby and cancels the contract. But Bobby does catch him partway through and insists that he keeps his legs, which is a good call.
Smart. So does that get put back on his penis? Like, where does that go?
I don't know. That's a great question. Well, I mean, or only was that one clause on his dick? I don't know. So Crowley appears in Scotland.
Smart.
With a suitcase right away to claim his bones from our brothers.
Yeah, smart.
And Dean's like, I could just burn him anyways. And so I like Sam's comment was, he's a dick, but a deal's a deal.
Yeah, kind of weird though. Like, why are you like? I don't know. It's a weird choice. It's a weird choice, right? Because remember, like Crowley burned the Crossroads demon earlier, but Sam's the one now who's saying that we just let him live. But anyway, so when Crowley goes off, he says, "If you'll excuse me, I have a little hell to raise." Nice.
So we cut to Sam and Dean driving, and Bobby's on the phone with Bobby, and Bobby thanks them, and there's jokes about their 9-hour flight. thinking that Dean must have gotten loaded, but apparently no, he spent the whole time clinging to a puke bag.
And they're also
Armed with
in
a
a
fork.
very tiny British car, which fair. I've, was recently in tiny British cars. But they have cell service in the middle of Scotland, like
Probably not.
on that little flip phone. I don't think so, especially not in 2000 or whatever this was, because like I can barely get cell service there now. But so Bobby starts to like beyond having a puke bag, Dean also had a fork. So
Yeah,
he
he's
was
armed
very
with a fork.
very armed with this fork. I don't
Yeah.
know how he got that through TSA.
I don't know. Probably jacked it from the TGI Fridays. So Bobby starts to apologize, but luckily, the Winchester brothers stop him from doing that, and they're like, "No, we took you for granted. Don't worry, we got you." And Dean's very excited to go eat at fucking Olive Garden in Scotland.
Well, because basically Bobby's shitting on Scottish food and saying, try some local grub. I hear it's exotic. And I suppose probably maybe at that point in time, like the food wasn't that great. But honestly, the food in Scotland is fucking dope. And most of it's just fucking fried. So, I mean, I'm not gonna like something like the fuck. Oh my god, the takeaways that are open all night where you can just get like munchie boxes filled with fried shit. And haggis is really good if it's fried because it's fried.
Most things are better fried.
Yeah. So
And
while
Bobby
the boys are like trying to get their Scottish food, what happens to poor Bobby?
Finally gets to try to start eating that cobbler, and the phone rings before he had the first bite. Oh, it's so disappointing. I wanted to hear about this cobbler.
Also, just don't answer the phone. Some me time. Have some me time, Bobby.
So he had to answer it. It was the fake FBI line. Someone could be in trouble.
Well, I mean, they can just get out of it themselves. You can't be the FBI all the time. That's
true.
Yeah. Take some time for some peach cobbler. Stop and smell the peach cobbler and Marcy.
Self-care.
And I bet if you go knock on her door again, she'll answer you. Marcy doesn't have a lot of choices.
No. Slim pickings.
It's Sioux Falls, man. And she's a middle-aged woman. I hear you, Marcy. I get it. It's hard up. Don't be so picky. So, are we going to do some little casting couch?
Yes.
Casting couch. It's the casting couch. Were they on that show that time with that guy? La 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 la.
All right. So, speaking of Miss Marcy, Marcy Ward was played by Jennifer Aspen. She's had a fairly long career. She's been in, she was in single episodes of shows like Married with Children, 90210, Step by Step, Living Single, NYPD Blue, Will and Grace, Friends, CSI, and more. She spent 2 years on the show Party of Five, where she played Daphne. She was Cindy the Realtor in the movie Mr. Woodcock. And she was in a handful of episodes of Glee as Kendra Giardi, and was on the first season of GCB as Sharon.
GCB.
I think it's Good Christian Bitches. It was like a show with Kristen Chenoweth. I can't say her name. I think that's.
I like Kristen Chenoweth, but
I think that's what it was.
Right.
I think that was her. I might be wrong. I might be lying. It's
that sounds like it could be fun.
And then the Crossroads demon that burned up in Bobby's basement was played by Sharon Taylor. She was also Amelia in Stargate Atlantis series, Feora in Smallville series, Sophia in Ghost Wars, and she was the Witch of the East in Once Upon a Time, Tia Margot in Riverdale, Micah in Altered Carbon, and plays Elena in Big Sky. And seeing, there's a few shows that we see a lot of consistent crossover from actors, I think, on these shows, which I think is interesting.
Vancouver.
Yeah. But we get Smallville a lot and we get Big Sky a lot. I think it's interesting. But anyways.
Nah, I mean, also, Big Sky is recent.
Well, now.
Fuck Big Sky. I don't know. It looks gross. I'm never watching that one. I don't care if you're in that Jensen. I'm not watching it.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, that's Surprised. I mean, I don't watch it. I noticed that as a new one.
I've
we're
read the
getting crossed over.
blurbs and no, thank you. No.
Ah.
I'm also not going to go
So-
back and watch them in soap operas. So
Well, so Gavin McLeod was played by Adam Groves, and he actually hasn't had a lot of credits. So I don't know. It doesn't appear that acting is his primary thing.
I think he shows up at a lot of cons, though. I feel like he does.
Well, he was in one episode of he was in one episode of The Good Place, and was a character named Jack in all the Queen's Men series. Agent Adams was played by Shaw Madsen, and it is a lot of stunt work. Actually, that's his background. He does a ton of stunt work. And he was played a character named Chad in that movie The Skulls. He was Lonnie in Bulletproof, and then had some smaller roles, like a small role in the A-Team movie and in Tron Legacy. So there we go. That's our cast this week.
Aw, what a fun cast. I really like Mercy.
I do too. Same.
Yeah,
this is a super fun episode.
Until she got too picky.
Right? Like, come on.
The thing is, like, once you put that white nightgown on, it was over. Is
that what it was that killed it?
Yeah, but I mean, I think if Bobby wanted to hook up with the Okami, like, she was fucking hot. I'd hook up with the Okami.
Yeah, no, it was a super fun episode, and I think it was a really important one because I know that Bobby is such a constant in this, and like I think sometimes like I almost felt bad for Bobby before too. I'm like, dang, they just fucking like order Bobby around, like what is this? So
it was time
I'm really glad
for Bobby to have an episode,
for him to have an episode, and for Bobby to like swallow his pride a little bit because I think that was important too, and be able to ask for a little bit of help.
Yeah. It's hard, but
it is hard, and it was important for him to remember that he does have people that support him, and he's not just there to support everybody else. I think that was important for him too, not just the about his pride. But I think it was a fun episode in a lot of ways because it was really cleverly done with circling back to the cobbler, having the naughty lines here and there, having the great dialogue and the verbal sparring with Crowley. It was just really an enjoyable episode.
Yeah, I think we got to see a lot of Jim Beaver acting off of other people, which, so we really, got to highlight, like, his comedic timing is just so dry. And so I think that's just, I really jive with just that, kind of, that idiot sense of like, you're so dumb humor.
Yeah.
But also, it was nice to see the boys take a step back, but still have the storyline was still progressing a little bit, right? And so even though we flipped to another character, season 6 is still chugging along with Dean being like, Sam, something's wrong with him. But also, I kind of like Sam in this episode because Sam was just like, nah, I got you, Bobby. Like, Dean's being all whiny and shit, and Sam's being like, nah, I got my friend. Like,
yeah, I think you got a lot of that. I think you got that aspect of it perpetuating, the storyline, and then of course the importance of kind of a circle back, but Bobby getting his soul back, and and then learning that Crowley might be a little more important than we thought in hell.
He's the king of hell, the king of hell.
I think those were with an episode that was not as quote unquote plot driven, but also just really fun and more character development. You still got these points that are really still drive the season story. That was a good way to do it. I liked it.
Yeah, I think it was I think I really like when Dab and Laughlin, whenever they pair up, like I really like their writing style just because I think it's it's I like their humor, but also I think it was just an interesting way to tell this story. I did.
Yeah.
And I really, I said, I really dig Jim, and the character who plays Rufus is driving me now, but I really like Rufus and Bobby together. I think they are a winning duo. They play off each other really well.
I agree. No, I think they do too. And I think it's
and
important
Jody
to have
and
like
Bobby too. Like both
they do too.
Yeah.
It's a different vibe. And the cool thing I think about the Rufus and Bobby like friendship, and getting to see that is like, okay, so obviously the Sam and Dean / Bobby relationship is a little father-son-ish, right? We know that. And then the Jody one is a little bit more like a friend, like a frenemy, kind of. Not really. Not even that far.
She's a woman.
Well,
she is a woman.
I mean, they're like buddies, but it's a little bit like prickly. And then, but the Rufus is more like a peer friend. Does that make sense? Like, they're probably they're in the same age range. They have similar life experiences. They're friends that do work together. And, you know, it's just a little bit different friendship type, I think, than some of the other relationships we get to see Bobby have.
Yeah. So, yay, Bobby has a friend.
Yay.
And a friend who busts his balls, too, right? And so, like, you can tell, like, they're really
He
good.
wouldn't be friends with someone that didn't.
No, it's really hard to be friends with someone who doesn't bust your balls. See, it's more balls and penises. I told you, that's all this episode is all about. It's dick, 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 dick. And with that note, I think we've said all we're going to say.
Yeah. There we go.
All right, then. Seriously, you good?
Yeah, no, that's all I got.
Right. So 0 episodes since Bummerland or Bummertown.
Yeah, one of those. Bummersville.
One day we'll figure out where bummers live. Anyways, cheers, Dirk.
Cheers, Mitch.
Devil's Trap Podcast is a Don't Get It production. Meow.
Devil's Trap Podcast is part of the Ship It Studios Podcast Network. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Devil's Trap Podcast, Twitter at Devil's Trap Pod, or you can email us at devilstrap@devilstrappodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave reviews, and share with all your friends. We're at all your favorite podcast outlets and at devilstrappodcast.com. I'm Babe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.